It all started when I bought the last untouched piece of shoreline on Crystal Bay, a private cove known only to a few locals. The land was wild, beautiful, untouched by development. I had saved for years, poured every bonus and commission into buying it. A dream finally made real. I had no neighbors, no noise, only water, sky, and trees. I built a simple dock. Then a modern off-grid cabin, clean lines, solar panels, glass walls that opened to the ocean breeze. Peace finally belonged to me. Then came Karen. Her real name was Lorraine, but every soul in the HOA called her Karen behind her back. She had power, money, and a hunger for control. She sat on the HOA board, chaired every committee, inserted herself into every decision. She didn't own land on the bay, not legally, not directly, but that didn't stop her. She was a developer's dream and a nightmare in heels. That I first noticed something was wrong when construction barges arrived without warning. They floated past my dock, loud, arrogant, carrying steel beams and foundation materials. I thought maybe it was for another project nearby, maybe a mistake. I was wrong. Days later, I came home from a supply run to find the hillside above my cabin cleared, trees leveled, a foundation dug. There was no permit on file, no public notice. I checked with the town office, nothing approved, yet they kept building. I confronted the crew. They shrugged, said they were told it was HOA approved land. I called the county again. They claimed it was private property, listed under a holding company. Turns out, the HOA had quietly purchased a sliver of land that wrapped behind my parcel, nearly invisible on maps, a loophole they exploited with Karen at the helm. And the holding company? Her nephew's name. A clear game of shell ownership. Within weeks, a massive 3-story cabin began to rise, full modern architecture, but soulless, built for status, not soul. And the worst part? They used my private dock. They ran machinery over it, parked boats, unloaded material, cracked the planks, damaged my supports. I put up signs. They tore them down. I spoke to Karen. She smiled like a shark, told me the HOA had designated the dock as community accessible, even though it was built entirely on my deeded water rights. She handed me a notice, told me I could either share or face fines. That I tried legal action, but she buried me in red tape. The HOA filed a cease and desist against me instead, claiming I was interfering with emergency shoreline access. The arrogance was unbearable. My home became crowded, noisy. I couldn't sleep. I heard generators, hammers, laughing workers at 2 a.m. They brought in glass panels with helicopters, the kind of extravagance only someone trying to prove power would use. The final straw came when I found strangers sunbathing on my dock. They said Karen told them it was a community recreation zone. I stood there, heart racing, watching them drink cocktails on the deck I built with my hands. Then Karen walked out from her new construction, waving like we were friends. She wore sunglasses, a yellow dress, and arrogance. She said they'd renamed the dock Crystal Landing on the community map. I told her she'd gone too far. She laughed. That night I sat in silence, watching the moon drift over my water. I knew what I had to do. I waited 3 more days, then I acted. First, I disconnected the solar anchor system on the outer pylons of the dock. I had installed it to secure the structure against tides. Next, I removed the inner support locks, just enough to weaken the stability. Then I loosened the base bolts during low tide. A slow process, careful and clean. I made sure it looked like wear and tear, not sabotage. I worked alone, never speaking, just moving, breathing, planning. Then came the storm, not a hurricane, but strong enough. Wind whipped the coast. High tide rolled in with fury. I sat in my cabin, sipping tea, listening to the creak of boards, the sound of rain on glass. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't need to be why morning. The dock was gone. Every piece floated out to sea, detached and surrendered to the current. I found one section half a mile downshore, another stuck between rocks. The main structure had vanished, swept into the blue. Karen was furious. She came storming down the shoreline, bare feet in salt water. Shrieking like a banshee, she pointed at me, accused me of destruction, trespass, sabotage. I said nothing, just watched her, calm as glass. The police arrived within hours, summoned by her call. She was certain they'd arrest me. She even brought news cameras, trying to frame me as the aggressor. Enjoyed the ride? Like, comment, and share to keep the story flowing. Subscribe to QZ Stories for more tales that hit deep and stay with you.